Hello Gypsies, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today it's I would say this is a quick one. Probably the intros are taking longer than the actual thing I've got to show you. Anyway, I bought two sprues from two different people and they are the Flames of War 15mm tanks. Now, as I've explained to you before, my wife has put me on an embargo of buying any model kits. And stop looking at that, Gav. Yeah, I'm on an embargo. No other reason than we just don't have the room. She says, "Gav, please build. Happy for you to build and get some more. Can we get the boxes down?" And fair point. And I am trying to do that. It's just taking a bit of time, obviously. And I was ordering some more of some last sprue that I'll buy as a sprue, the rest I'll buy as boxes. The British Epic Napoleonic I've just sold. Well, they're still, should you want to bid, they're still on eBay. But I've got an offer, a bid on one. And with these guys, I bought the original sprue to see what they were like. Didn't realise that you got like the light infantry unit with them. One base, two lots make a base, if you didn't know. And you get an artillery piece and there as well. So you need the 3 artillery pieces and because they would normally come in a box. And what people do is, if you're not into this type of stuff, is they break the box down, as in, and sell the sprues separately and make a couple of quid on each one. If you're someone like me, buying a single sprue often is all you need. I get the enjoyment of painting them and then I sell them. However, it is cheaper to buy a box. And next time I will buy the box, but because I needed to get 3 sprues, if that makes sense, I've had to buy them 3 separately. So, but anyway, I was getting those, and some Flames of War stuff came up. I believe it did. I could have gone looking for it. I can't remember. Anyway, and there was lots of different vehicles, and I thought, well, it's a sprue. Look how you can't get any thinner than that. We're not taking no room up. And it's only it's 15mm or 1 in 100 scale, so you know there's the tracks. You know, it's this is a Hornisse, by the way, stroke Nashorn, stroke Hummel. Again, if you're not into your military vehicles, that means absolutely nothing to you. Basically, this is a Panzerjäger. It's an 88mm gun, so the famous 88mm gun you see on the in the desert and the Eastern Front and all that stuff. They make it more mobile. They put it in a Mark IV Panzer chassis. I think it was a Mark IV. Was it a Mark III? I can't remember now. Anyway, and you've got 2 versions. You've got the Hummel, which was the mobile artillery piece, more or less, and you got the. It started in 1942 as the Hornisse, or I don't know if that's exactly how it's pronounced in German, but Hornet in English. And then Adolf Hitler himself, you know, he always get there to show him everything, and he'd say, "Oh well, I want more of this and more on that, on this, that, and the other." Hence the proliferation of heavy German vehicles in World War II. And he decided he wanted to call it the Rhino, so the Nashorn, German for rhino or rhinoceros. And on this sprue you can build either the Hornisse stroke Nashorn or the Hummel. They give you 2 barrels and all that good stuff. So I'm building the Hornisse. I think they only made 20 Hornets. Call it Hornets, I can pronounce that easy. They only made 20 Hornets, I believe, on my research. And the rest were Nashorns, and the only difference I believe that I've read, I shouldn't have got books on this, and again they're all in my library, and I've just tried to fish one out to show you an actual picture of a Nashorn, and I couldn't find it. But they is the frontal armour on the Nashorn, on the driver's compartment. So it's going to have to be a Hornet. I wanted to use it or to say it was in Italy, but I believe only the Nashorns were in Italy. I'm not 100% sure. This is being built as a tribute to my marra Joachim over at the Yorama Model Bow channel. If you don't know Joachim, he is a world-class modeller, and he builds smaller scale models. I don't know if he does these 15mm stroke 1 in 100 scales, but to be honest with you, I paid about £5 for this. I might have paid £6. I think it's between £4 and £6, and that included the postage. And the seller included 3 figures, which I'll show you under the camera in a minute. So I've got a couple of three crew members for it as well. The reason I've got this is not to build it out of the box or the sprue. It is just, say super detailing it is probably pushing it a bit too far, but I'd like to, which we'll have a look at some stuff in a minute, is to make it a lot, maybe a lot more. I wouldn't say do a plasmo on it, because you can match plasmo's skills somehow, funnily enough. But I'd like to give that a go, and I thought for that price, it can sit on my desk, and I can, when I want to change subjects for half an hour, I can have a go on it. I've also, it was a toss-up between this and another seller was selling the Grant stroke, or the Lee stroke Grant tank, Lend-Lease tank. You can do it as the American version or the British version. I've got a 1 in 35 scale from Mini Art to do at some stage, and I thought, no, I've always fancied the Hornisse or the Nashorn. I've always called it Nashorn, to be honest with you. I'll do it that. And in the end, wife was taking Archie for a walk. Just what's £4? I mean, really, it's not a lot, is it? And look, they're only this thin. I mean, it's not like they're taking any room up. So I got the Grant as well, which we'll take a look at, and I want to do the same with that, because I've got an idea which I'll discuss with you in a minute when we go down to the single sprue. So that's the idea. I've got a Hornet stroke Nashorn stroke Hummel if I wanted to do a Hummel, but I just fancy that whopping big 88mm. The 88mm is the same in the Tiger and the 88mm flat gun. It just gave it a mobile appearance. Pros and cons of the for the Hummel, the artillery version, it was a bit, it was a mobile artillery piece. It didn't really matter if it was armoured or high profile. The Hornet stroke Nashorn had the same more or less thin armour. I believe what Hitler told him to do, because he didn't ask him, did he, was to upgrade the frontal armour, I believe, on the Nashorn, and it's the only distinguishing feature, I believe. I've got to go back, and before I start messing around with this particularly, I've got to start looking at more photographs. Yeah, what am I trying to say? Yeah, so it's got an 88mm gun, and the pros and cons. Pros is it sits back on the eastern front where you've got loads and loads of flat tundra. It can sit back and engage targets miles and miles away with its 88mm gun and hit them, and before it can be hit, because if it does get hit, it's stuffed, because it's got enough armour, more or less like a half track. It's got enough armour to protect the crew from shell splinters and ballistic, like as in rifle rounds and things like that. But that's it. It has its only self-defense is any crew weapons, like MP40, machine gun, and it could have 1 or 2 MG34s or MG42s just on a pintle mount against infantry. They weren't, as far as I know, they weren't heavily used in Western Europe, as in like the Low Countries and Germany. However, the only Pershing kill that I'm aware of, so the American Pershing heavy tank that came in literally in the last couple of months of the war, the only Pershing kill from a German vehicle was from the Nashorn, which hit the Pershing at around 280 metres, which is really low. You know, no wonder it knocked it out with an 88mm gun at that range. And that was the only Pershing that was knocked out, I believe, by German vehicle in World War Two. So yeah, the problems it's got is thin armour, and it's very high, so you can't hide it, and that's why they pushed more into the Jagdpanzer, and obviously the Jagdpanther, and then obviously the little Hertzer in that, because they had a lower silhouette. But it still was in production right till the end of the war, and it served mainly on the Eastern Front and in Italy, and it was in Italy that I wanted to say it was depicted, really. So you get everything with this, except, well, say you get everything, it depends obviously what seller you get it off, but you wouldn't normally get decals with it, and I haven't. I didn't want to spend a lot of money. The idea was just it was a cheap little project. You know, it's 15mm. It's nice crisp plastic. It's obviously it's a wargaming piece, so it's a bit thicker. However, I thought I could do something with it, and with the Lee stroke Grant that's coming. So yeah, let's go down to the bench and take a look. Oh, waffling all over the shop again. We'll take a look at the 3 little crew figures as well with it, and then when I get the Lee stroke Grant, we'll take a look at that as well. Right guys, here you go. I thought it was worth showing because to show how when Battlefront, New Zealand company that make the Flames of War game, they originally were making them in metal and resin, and they were always a bit clunky and not always great fitting together. Not that I've put a lot together. I never gamed with them. I just used to put the odd one together for fun, and just sometimes I'd sell them, sometimes I'd just give them away, whatever. But since they've been doing everything in turning over to doing in plastic, obviously they are mini models, and I just think if you're a modeler and you don't want to get into full armour, these little things are great. You know, you don't have to have an airbrush, especially at this scale, but I mean, I will be airbrushing mine, but you don't have to. I'm not 100% sure of the fit because I've never built one of these plastic ones from Battlefront before. But again, you can get them. You can get different ones. I am looking at the Fox armoured car from the 1970s. It's a British armoured car from the British Army of the Rhine and things like that. I fancy doing that as well. But yeah, I didn't want to just do one, build one and paint it without doing something to it, if that makes sense. So what I'm hoping to do is, we've got our drivers, I think this piece, right, we've got this piece here, right, and then this piece sits on top, I believe. So you've got the driver, I believe that is the hatches anyway, the driver and the you call it co-driver, or I am looking at that right, aren't I? That is the front and not the... Yeah, well, oh, by the way, don't worry about instructions. If you go on the internet, Battlefront have all the CAD instructions, and they'll tell you on their sites what colours go for a Hummel, and because obviously you've got different glacier plates and stuff like that. So I'm going to be doing some hatches open. You've got on the rear tub here, let me just turn it round where I know where I am. Come on, Gav. Oh, here we are, that would help. Right, so we've got, this is the rear, these are spare drive wheels here, or wheels, but I'm going to open the back up, open the doors up, cut down those hinges in the middle there, have them swung open, do some little do some little, you know, handles and stuff on. As you can see, it's really, because there's a couple of versions, obviously you can go wrong, but it's all fairly self-explanatory. Just to give you an idea of the detail on the, let's get up a bit closer. There's our wheel detail. We'll just look at the one side. I mean, again, these are supposed to be War Games pieces. We've got a lovely bit of track sag. They just clip onto the side. Now, the one thing they're missing on these is there will be somewhere, I can't remember which side, there will be an exhaust, probably I think it's this side. I'm thinking of getting some pipe and making a exhaust coming out the back there, because it would run along the top roughly and come out very slightly around here, I believe. So that, you know, it's missing. I mean, again, it's a 15mm meant to be wargaming piece. I'm just saying you could have a lot of fun with it. You know, if you're somebody who hasn't done armour before, if you get a sprue, I mean, this is from the UK, but I can't see why you wouldn't be getting sprues, you know, in your own countries. This is the mighty 88mm gun. Yeah, I can't remember the actual definitions and stuff, but thing I'll have to do is, you've obviously, which is great, you can see straight through there, brilliant, but you will have to drill out the barrel where it's attached. We have different aiming mechanisms. I will beef up. I've been looking at mainly Nashorn pictures, to be honest with you, because they seem to be the most prolific, and as I say, there's no difference. Sink marks everywhere. Some may be on show, some may not. Again, no, it was mainly originally made to game with. But there's bracing in that on these different shields here. There's like glass, I call it glasses, but you know, different shields here. There's different bracing going across. So I thought I'd try and make it a bit busy like that, you know, and this is the, turn it around in a minute. That's your interior tub. I'm thinking of trying to trick that out a bit. You will have some ammo cabinets going in there that they provide. I haven't got any 50mm storage at all, and I'm a bit reticent to buy some in. I might try and make some. You've got your jack and your jack block there. Lights are fairly rudimentary, obviously. The only bit of you can really call it stowage is where is it? There is your track. The track links that sit on the very front of the vehicle. These here, I take it these are cleaning rods rather than range markers for the gun, as in like when it's a Hummel. I've seen people paint them as red and white poles for the range marking, so give you the arcs of your gun positions, I believe. But I've also just seen them painted as wooden pole, screw together poles for cleaning out the barrel. I'm going to add some tarps and stuff around. They'd often cover the tarp, cover it over, because there's no weather protection for the crew. Obviously, you're not going to do that when you want to show everything off, but yeah. We've got some shell extra charge. It just shows it there. Some extra charges there. I don't know if that's for the Hummel or not. But what I'm thinking of, when that Grant arrives, I'm going to open the compartments up on those, because that's got that's got hatches all over the shop, and I was wondering whether, I doubt this, is it 10cm gun, whether I could really get away with using that barrel part of it. But I'm thinking of mounting this in the back. Yes, I know it won't be the same as a 75mm gun that the Lee carries, but you know, it's a breech mechanism, isn't it? So I'm thinking of doing that, on keeping that back and either using the hole, or, because you only see that up to there, you only see up to there on a Lee stroke Grant. Just a thought anyway. It also comes with, well, this one did anyway, so I'm not saying yours would if you bought a sprue. This guy put these as part of the sale. I mean, they're great little figures. He's got his sights there. Another thing that doesn't come with, the Commander has a periscope, like you'll often see them, the twin binocular things that go up over the top. But I thought that was a lovely little figure. So we've got that one. I think it's in there flexible, don't want to snap it too hard. Got this guy here. I believe these would these be in the reed green? Is it reed green for the Panzerjäger arm? Or was it grey? I've seen these, because these units tended to be with the heavy tank battalions, I believe, or attached to them. I might be wrong. But I have seen normal Panzertruppen black. I swear I swear it, or is it just the reconnaissance units that had the reed green? I'm not sure, but we'll have to look into that as well. That's a nice little figure. Now what I'm going to do, as I'm not selling the vehicle, I'm keeping it, is I might actually recast these. Yes, I know, Gav, you're recasting. No, I'm not recasting to sell. I'm just recasting for me, for my own, for myself. So what I've thought of doing, I've got some blue stuff, or Oyamuru as it was first known as, and with this stuff you heat it up, as you can see there. Heat it up, press whatever you want to press into it, and then when it goes cold, it leaves that, it leaves the impression. Then you put your, whether you're putting resin, as in like any type of jewellery resin, proper casting resin, or just epoxy putty in there, and you can get yourself one of these guys. Because what I'd like to do, I did think of trying to sculpt them myself, and I was just thinking, and I still might have a go, to be honest with you, but I just think I'm pretty naff at that. I have bought some extra FIMO to months ago actually to re-go having a go at sculpting some figures, but I'm thinking of when I get round to knowing which hatches are which, because as I say, they did change them over. But when I've got my hatches saying what's what, I'll open them up maybe and put the, because I've seen different pictures, obviously well, not when they're firing, but putting different figures, putting like co-driver in and stuff. You might just obviously chop arms off and things. So I thought they were lovely little figures, these are. And what I thought was, if the Hummel, if I can only use a piece of it or whatever, like I could, on these guys here, I'm also going to put that in the blue stuff as well and cast that. So I've got some breech workings for the gun, for the Grant stroke Lee, whichever one I'm doing when it gets here. So as I say, these are, if I do that, they're not, I'm not reselling them, the vehicle's not being resold. I won't do that, take somebody else's money off them, their livelihood. It is just give me some extra figures and parts to do some scratch building with, and as I say, the vehicle will either stop with me or I might give it away, depending, but they're not being commercially mucked around with. Do like those though, they're nice. Right, there you go guys. I'm sorry I can't put if I could have found one, I literally just got this through the post. If I could find another photograph of a Hornet stroke Nashorn and a Hummel even, I would have put one up, but you'll just have to try and guess the shape of it from the sprue. So thanks a lot if you've been interested. As I say, I want to show you yet another project I'll be doing at some point, and two, I just thought that if somebody was fancying doing some armour, but it's 1 in 35 is too big, too costly, too much space, it's not something you particularly want to throw a lot of time at. One of these little 15mm sprues, for between £4 and £7, usually about £4 or £5, and that includes the postage when we're in the UK. Yes, they're simplified probably. Again, it's up to you how far you want to go, but I think they're worth the money. Steve Jones, a nod to you. Can you scratch build your way like I'm going to go. In fact, get yourself one of these, Steve, and we'll do a buddy build. Right. Oh, and as I say, that is going, I am going to, when I start it and all the rest of it, I will be doing a proper shout out again to Joachim, because I think he's a brilliant modder at this scale, and I just think give him a shout out and honour him with a build. Also, when he and Marcus get the group build again together, at least I know, I never even thought of going for these 50mm Flames of War ones. I can actually do a model that isn't going to take me forever, and I might actually get completed. So not this or the Grant, obviously, but there's plenty more. They do Tiger tanks, you name it. They're slowly, you know, they're slowly getting all their back catalogue into these, obviously plastic. Highly recommended. As I say, yet fit, I don't know, but I've not heard any bad issues. Probably if there is going to be any fitment issues, I really would like to thin these down. I did want to thin these down. The only problem I'm thinking of is obviously with all these support stanchions in the way, and or brackets, what are you going to call them, I'm going to struggle probably, but I still might try a la Plasmo and get things thinned down slightly. Right, thanks for stopping by and taking a look. What else have we got coming up? I've almost finished the 15mm infantry Napoleonics for the commission. Just doing the last facial bits, and the brass work's got to be done. And then I've got 3 extra cavalry figures, client wanted painting as well. I've got those to do, but these will be based, but there won't be no colours flying off the flagpoles, because he's putting his own colours on. But I'll give you a show of those. I've got a couple of 6mm German armour to show you. They're based. We'll obviously have an update on this Hornet stroke Nashorn when that gets going. The Grant will be probably with me. I only ordered that Sunday, so it'll probably be a couple of days, but I'll give you a quick show and tell of that. Well, not so quick. I'll have a 1 in 24 car update. I'm hoping to have a Lexington update soon, and I'd really need to get back on that Dragonfly, because I've got all the paints and everything for that. I just stalled as usual, so I need to get that sorted. I'd like to get back on that 54mm Airfix Lancer as well. So there's lots going on. I've also had a bid on those British World War II figures that I painted, late war British. So when I get the funds off those, I will reinvest on some more. Whether there might be more British or there might be some Germans for a change, I might alternate them as I go, and you know, get those done. So anyway, lots on the go. Look after yourselves. Thanks for your time. Yeah, I know, quick videos again. And what should we say? I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.